Hey everybody, this is Laurent Kuntz. This is the indictment of Sean Puffy Combs. Diddy got indicted and Diddy is done. If half the things in this indictment are true and provable, Diddy is finished. He's on Jeffrey Epstein level. He's on R. Kelly level. And some may even say it may be even worse. Some of the things that he's being accused of in terms of firearms and drugs and sex trafficking are extremely serious. Um, Sean Puffy Combs has had a long history of doing things that were questionable. Now he's in very serious trouble, and some might be saying that it's long overdue. He's being charged with racketeering, like I have the indictment right here, and I went through it, and it's crazy, man. It's crazy. They're saying that he ran a criminal enterprise. They're saying that his businesses, he had a lot of business. He has a lot of businesses, and they're saying that it's defined. His businesses are being defined legally as an enterprise, like a criminal enterprise. So they're charging him with racketeering, running a criminal organization, sort of like a mafia don or something. And they said the purposes of Combs' enterprise. It says operating a global business in the media, entertainment, and lifestyle industries, including, among other things, record labels, a recording studio, an apparel line, an alcoholic spirits business, a marketing agency, and a television network and media company. So this dude was for real. He really had built all of this stuff, but he used his enterprise to do some very bad things. The prosecutor is Damian Williams, who is the U.S. Attorney of the Southern District out of New York City. And he's very good and he's very thorough. And he explains this indictment in great detail. And the seriousness of his charges make it very difficult for him to get bail. So he probably will be in custody for a while, maybe even until his trial. Who knows? Damian Williams is very proficient and very thorough in his job. So we will see this thing move relatively quickly, in my estimation. Based on what he's being accused of, he might take a lot of people down with him because he was having these sex parties and he was filming them, and the feds, they have the videos of some of the things that they're accusing him of. So one of the things that they say, they have a whole list of the purposes of his enterprise, but one of the things that stands out to me is C. It says one of the purposes of his enterprise was to fulfill the personal desires of Combs, particularly those related to Combs' sexual gratification, including through the exploitation of women and the use of commercial sex workers. Okay? And then it goes into detail about freak-offs. And that's what we've been hearing since he's been sued by, his associates or people that work with him. And they've been saying that, he's been having freak-offs where people are having sex and things like that. And in this indictment, it goes into freak-offs, and it says freak-offs were elaborate and produced sex performances that Combs arranged, directed, masturbated during, and often electronically recorded. Okay? And then it says freak-offs occurred regularly, sometimes lasted multiple days, and often involved multiple commercial sex workers. And then it says during freak-offs, Combs distributed a variety of controlled substances to victims, part to keep the victims obedient and compliant. And then it says sometimes unbeknownst to the victims, Combs kept videos he filmed of victims engaging in sex acts with commercial sex workers after freak-offs. Combs and the victims typically received IV fluids to recover from the physical exertion and drug use. I can't go through everything, but I'm just going to point out the things that stand out to me and that I want to highlight. And one of the things is his associates. They're going after the associates for not intervening when people were getting abused and hurt. And then it says members and associates of the Combs enterprise at times witnessed Combs's violence towards the victims or the victims' injuries caused by Combs without intervening. Instead, members and associates of Combs Enterprise helped conceal the violence and abuse by, among other things, assisting Combs in monitoring and preventing victims from leaving locations such as hotels or Combs's residences. So, I'm glad that this is in here, and I want this to be a message to people who think that they can stand by and witness people being abused and hurt and not do anything and think that, hey, I didn't do anything, so I'm not responsible. He's Damian Williams is holding people responsible for that. And this is what people need to hear in this day and age, especially men. We have to accept responsibility for things that are happening in our presence. We can't just say, "Oh, I'm not involved, so hey, everything is cool." I'm not going to call. I'm not going to talk to the police. I'm not going to squeal. I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to intervene, and I'm going to be in the clear. In this case, they're saying that his associates are being charged and investigated just like him because they did not intervene. If you see someone being hurt, if you see someone their hair being pulled and kicked and beat up, you have an obligation to intervene. And if you don't intervene, at least call the police. Let them know. Don't just be a hanger-on and just facilitate and enable somebody to do these things to other people. This is the downfall of our society if we allow this to happen. You hear so many incidents where people are getting hurt and everybody's just standing by watching. People are pulling out phones and not intervening. Especially men. We have to intervene, and he's holding us responsible for not intervening. It says also, and this is like very bad. It says when employees witnesses to his abuse or others threaten Combs' authority or reputation, Combs and members and associates of the enterprise engaged in acts of violence, threats of financial and reputational harm, and verbal abuse. These acts of violence include kidnapping and arson. In addition, on multiple occasions, Combs threw both objects at people as well as hit, dragged, choked, and shoved them. So this is going on, and people are witnessing this. And people are not calling the police. People are not intervening. And I guess the people who did try to intervene and did try to stop him were the people that received threats. This is bad. It says when Combs' authority or reputation was threatened by the possibility of negative publicity or legal or law enforcement action against him, including in or about late 2023 following public allegations of Combs' crimes, Combs and members and associates of the enterprise pressured witnesses and victims, including through attempted bribery, to stay silent and not report what they experienced or knew to law enforcement. They did not tell it, and they were putting pressure on these people not to tell. And then it says on phone calls, Combs and other members and associates of the enterprise, among other things, provided these victims and witnesses with a false narrative of events in the effort to conceal Combs' crimes. And check this out. Combs caused these calls to be recorded on at least two occasions. So Combs himself recorded people being contacted and being told what to say to police and creating false narratives, like witnesses that saw stuff. They're calling people and bribing them and threatening them and telling them if anybody asks you what happened, this is what you say. And he's stupid enough to record it. And they got the recordings of him and his associates telling people what to say. This dude is sinister. If half of this stuff is provable and true, he's in a lot of trouble. He's on Jeffrey Epstein level. He's on R. Kelly level. Okay, it says the racketeering conspiracy. Underneath it says multiple acts involving kidnapping, multiple acts involving arson, multiple acts involving bribery, multiple acts indictable related to tampering with witnesses, victims, and or informants, multiple acts of indictable relating to forced labor. Forced labor, that's like slavery. You're forcing people to do labor. This is what this dude is being accused of. Multiple acts indictable under Title 18 related to sex trafficking. Multiple acts indictable under Title 18 related to transportation and inducement to travel for purposes of prostitution and other illegal sexual activities. Multiple offenses involving the possession with intent to distribute or distribution of narcotics and controlled substance, including cocaine, oxycontin, methamphetamine, and they have a whole list of drugs. These are serious charges. These are serious charges. All of them are serious charges. Count 2, sex trafficking by force, fraud, coercion. There's a whole section about that. Count 3, transportation to engage in prostitution. So he's transporting people and coercing them to have sex, drugging them to control them. And me and my friend were talking about this. Imagine going to a party and you're just an innocent person trying to make it in the business, and you're invited to a party with Sean Combs, and you think it's the greatest thing in your life, and someone puts something in your drink, and now you're engaging in some sort of crazy perverted sexual freak off, and they're filming it. And the next day you wake up and you don't know what happened, and people are telling you, hey man, you were doing this or you doing that and you're doing the other, and they videotaped it, and he's using the video to hold it over people, to coerce people to do things, to continue in this type of lifestyle. Because if not, you're going to be ruined. I'm going to show everybody what you did. This is sick. And then they have the final section of forfeiture allegations, which is same in detail. And I'm going to summarize it for you. They're going to take everything. They're going to take everything this dude owns. They're going to take his houses, his cars, his businesses, his money. Dude is facing at least 15 years, and some have been saying 100. He's not going to get 100. Sam Bankman-Fried stole over $8 billion, and I think he got 25 years. Sean Puffy Combs will probably get 25 years. And he's 54 years old now. So, like I said, if half the things are provable that they're accusing him of, he's going to be in his 70s, in his late 70s, before he sees the light of day. Now, his attorney is saying that, he's trying to put a spin on it, pretty much saying, Sean knew he was going to get arrested.
We knew this was coming. I mean, he moved to New York, as I think some of you guys know. We brought him to New York about 2 weeks ago because we knew this day was going to come, and it's here.
They're going to go towards the angle that the people that are accusing him, the people that participated in these acts, were adults, consenting adults, that he wasn't forcing anybody to do anything that they didn't want to do. But then they have the video of him beating up Cassie, dragging her. She's trying to escape him, and he's beating her and throwing stuff at her and stomping her and dragging her. So I don't think that's going to fly. They're going to say, hey, but, you know, we have evidence that you do beat people up. So the angle that people are doing all these things for you on their free will, you know, that's going to be a hard one to prove. So if he's smart, he's going to plead guilty and just take his 20 years or whatever it is, because he ain't gonna be able to beat these charges, I don't think. So thank you once again for coming in and checking me out. And until next time, as always, peace and stay safe.